Hello everyone and welcome back to Joys It Flies. If you're new here, my name's Kirsty and I deal with the sewing side of this channel. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to sew the simplest mini skirt ever. So if you're a beginner sewist, then this video is for you. So I'm going to jump straight into the tutorial because sewing this skirt should be a nice, simple and quick process. So let's talk about what you're going to need to make the skirt. So you're not going to need much fabric. I wear a size 8 skirt and I only use about 2 meters of fabric, and that's me being very generous. So according to your size, you can figure out from there how much fabric you're going to need. But fabric type, you can kind of use anything you really like. I'm using a cotton jersey, but don't worry, that doesn't mean you need a stretch fabric for this project. You don't. I would actually suggest using a slight stretch fabric, nothing too stretchy, just like a nice two-way stretch jersey like I'm using, because with a mini skirt, it makes it much more comfortable. It makes the skirt give a bit more room, so when you're walking it's all a bit more comfortable. But that being said, you can use anything, a cotton, even a woolen fabric, anything like that would work really nicely. Next, you're going to need a medium weight interfacing. This is just for in the waistband, so you don't need much of it, and a sew on or iron on is absolutely fine. Then next, you're going to need an invisible zip. Now if you're a beginner and you hear invisible zip and you become scared and freak out, don't worry, I actually think invisible zips are just as easy as inserting a normal zip, and I'm going to go through the process slowly in the tutorial, so don't panic. Then you're just going to need your general sewing equipment and stuff, and if you have an overlocker, I'm going to be using my overlocker, so you can too. But don't panic if you don't have an overlocker. I'm going to give you extra options in the tutorial for you. And then last but not least, you're going to need the PDF pattern. So to get the PDF pattern, all you're going to want to do is follow the first link in the description, which will take you to our website where you can download the PDF pattern. And you'll also notice if you scroll down a bit on that same page that there are 2 size charts. Please use these size charts to find your size. Don't just guess it on what you would normally buy at the shops or something. Use those size charts because all size charts are going to be different. And also, the thing about this pattern that's great is because the structure of the pattern is so simple, it means that it's really easy to adjust to make it fit you perfectly. So print your PDF pattern at 100% scale, and then we're going to assemble it, and I'm just going to show you my really quick and easy way to do that. All you're going to want to do is trim the page border at each corner where you can see there are little quarters of a circle. Now on each sheet you're going to want to match up these circles till eventually they become a full circle. I just find this method really easy for me to see clearly where each page needs to align. And then you can cut all the pattern pieces out of your size. Then cut all of your pattern pieces out of your fabric. And don't forget to transfer all of the markings from the pattern pieces onto the wrong side of your fabric. So there is just one note I quickly want to mention before we get sewing, and that is that you may have noticed on the paper pattern that it says it includes a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So that just simply means that you're going to want to sew the entire project with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, unless at any time I specifically say otherwise. So starting off with sewing your darts, you're going to want to fold your darts in half, right sides together, and then pin them together. You can use that center line in the dart to help you make sure you folded it directly in half. Then you can sew along your darts. Then give them a good press with your iron, and you're going to want to repeat that with all of your darts. Now you're going to want to overlock the sides of each pattern piece, so your front and 2 back pieces. If you don't have an overlocker, all you're going to want to do is use a normal zigzag stitch on your regular sewing machine and sew along all of the sides, kind of mimicking an overlocker. Now take one of your back pieces and place it right sides together with your front piece, matching the notches. And then you're just going to want to pin them both together. And now you're going to want to sew starting from the top and finishing at that notch. So you're going to be leaving a little bit at the bottom open. Then press your seam open, and if you'll notice, once you get to the bit at the bottom that's not sewn, you'll notice that the iron will naturally create 2 hems along it. Just press these flat, pin them in place, and then you're going to want to sew them closed. So starting along one side, you're going to want to sew up it. Once you get to where the 2 seams are joined, sew across and then back down the other side, and then repeat that with your other back piece and the other side of your front piece. Moving on to your waistband, you're going to want to attach your interfacing to the wrong side of your waistband piece, either by sewing it or ironing it. Then take your waistband over to your ironing board and press your entire waistband in half. Open your waistband back up, and now you're going to want to fold a 1/4 inch hem along one of the longest edges. And then just baste that hem closed. Now pin the raw edge of your waistband right sides together with the top of your skirt. And then sew them both together. Now this next step is important for later. You're going to want to press that seam up towards your waistband. And now fold your entire skirt in half, right sides together, matching the 2 back pieces, and make sure you match the seams for where the waistband joins the skirt. Now take your zip and place it along the edge of your skirt, and you're going to want to match the pull tab up at the top where the fold in your waistband is. Then you're going to want to measure 2 inches approximately above where your zip ends and mark that measurement on your fabric. Then sew starting from that mark all the way down to the bottom. And then turn your skirt right sides out, and you're going to want to open up your zip. Then take one of the sides of your zip and place it right sides together with the corresponding side of your skirt. Now you're going to want to match where the teeth start on the zip up with that fold in your waistband, like we did before with the pull tab. And then just carry on pinning the zip to the edge of your skirt. You're going to want to have it so that the fabric side of the zip is matching the edge of the skirt and the teeth are facing in towards the rest of the skirt. Now you're going to sew all the way down your zip, and you're going to stop just where the seam starts in the skirt. So you're going to want to sew right up to where the 2 sides join. And to sew the zip, you're going to want to use an invisible presser foot on your sewing machine. Then repeat with the other side of your zip on the other side of your skirt. Now we're just going to finish off the waistband, so that bit of extra fabric at the top of your zip, just before the teeth start on your zip, you're going to want to fold it over kind of diagonally, and then you're going to want to fold your waistband in half right sides together, refolding that fold we made at the beginning with our iron. Pin it in place and then repeat on the other side, and then you're going to want to sew down both of the waistbands. And to sew this, I would use a normal zipper presser foot on your sewing machine. Then just trim both of the corners, and you can turn it out right sides out. Then to finish the waistband, you're just going to want to refold your waistband in half and pin it closed. But you're going to want to pin it from the right side of the fabric, because in a moment we're going to be over sewing it from the right side. So just pin all of the way along your waistband, and then over sew all the way along your waistband from the right side, so you can see and make sure it's really nice and neat. And then the very last thing to do is to fold a double hem along the bottom of your skirt of a 1/4 inch, and then another 1/4 inch, and then sew it closed. And that is it, you have finished sewing your mini skirt. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, I hope you loved making your skirt, but as always, if you have any questions about the project, about the pattern, whatever, please feel free to drop them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer you. And so with that, I will see you next time on the channel.